Hello and welcome back to the Mind Shelf, your home for insights that help you build a more meaningful life. Have you ever wondered why some of your relationships feel stuck, or why small disagreements can spiral into major conflicts? The truth is, many of us are unknowingly engaging in habits that sabotage the very connections we're trying to build. It's not about a lack of love or effort, it's about a lack of awareness. In today's video, we are going to expose these hidden relationship killers and give you the tools to eliminate them for good. So if you're ready to build stronger, deeper, and more resilient relationships, stay tuned. Introduction: the invisible architecture of connection. We navigate our relationships on a kind of autopilot. We believe that love, shared history, or mutual interests are the load-bearing walls that hold our connections together. We invest in grand gestures, the lavish birthday gifts, the exotic vacations, the dramatic apologies, believing these are the pillars that define the strength of our bonds. Yet we are often baffled when, despite these efforts, cracks begin to appear. A friendship feels distant. A family tie becomes strained. A romantic partnership feels more like a contract than a connection. The foundation, which seems so solid, begins to feel unstable. The problem is rarely the grand gestures. More often than not, the structural integrity of our relationships is compromised not by major earthquakes, but by a slow, relentless erosion caused by tiny, everyday habits. These are the behaviors so ingrained in our communication and mindset that we fail to see them as the corrosive agents they are. They are the subtle shifts in tone, the unspoken assumptions, the mental scorecards we keep, and the defensive walls we build brick by brick. These are the things we must stop doing if we want stronger, more resilient, and truly fulfilling relationships. This isn't about blame. These patterns are often learned defense mechanisms, inherited from our upbringing or developed as coping strategies in past relationships. We deploy them unconsciously, believing they are protecting us, helping us win an argument, or allowing us to maintain a sense of control. In reality, they are the very tools of our own relational sabotage. They create misunderstanding where there could be clarity, resentment where there could be grace, and distance where there could be intimacy. This comprehensive guide is an invitation to turn off the autopilot. It is a deep dive into the most pervasive and destructive habits that weaken our connections with partners, friends, family, and colleagues. We will not only identify these behaviors, but also dissect the underlying psychology of why we engage in them. Most importantly, for each habit you must stop. We will offer a constructive, actionable alternative, a new way of thinking, communicating, and behaving that builds trust, fosters intimacy, and creates the kind of unbreakable bonds we all crave. It's time to examine the invisible architecture of your connections and start reinforcing them from the inside out. Part 1. The communication killers. When words fail us, communication is the lifeblood of any relationship. When it flows freely and honestly, it nourishes the connection. When it becomes blocked, polluted, or weaponized, the relationship begins to suffocate. The following habits are the most common toxins that poison our communicative well. 1. Stop making assumptions and expecting mind reading. This is perhaps the most common and insidious of all relationship toxins. It operates on the flawed premise that if you really knew me, loved me, cared about me, you would know what I need, want, feel without me having to say it. We create entire narratives in our heads about another person's intentions, feelings, and motivations, and then we react to that narrative as if it were fact. The psychology behind it. At its core, the expectation of mind reading is a form of magical thinking. It stems from a deep-seated desire for unconditional attunement, often rooted in our earliest experiences with caregivers. As adults, it becomes a cognitive shortcut. It's easier to assume you know what your partner is thinking than to engage in the vulnerable and sometimes difficult process of asking. It also serves as a test. If they pass this unspoken test, it proves their love. This, however, is a test designed for failure, as no human being is capable of perfect telepathy. Why it's so destructive. Expecting someone to read your mind puts an impossible burden on them and sets them up for failure. When they inevitably fail, it creates a cycle of disappointment, resentment, and frustration. The person on the receiving end feels constantly judged and misunderstood, leading them to become defensive or withdraw. It prevents genuine communication, replacing it with a guessing game where the stakes are emotional validation. It's the difference between saying, "You should have known I had a stressful day and needed space," and creating an opportunity for connection by saying, "I had a really tough day and I need about 30 minutes to myself to decompress. Can we connect after that?" The first creates a conflict based on a failed assumption. The second builds intimacy through clear, respectful communication. The antidote: practice explicit communication. The solution is as simple to state as it is challenging to practice. Be explicit. State your needs, feelings, and desires clearly, calmly, and without blame. Use I statements as a framework. Instead of "you never help around the house," an assumption and an accusation. Try. "I feel overwhelmed by the housework. Would you be willing to take care of the dishes tonight?" Instead of giving them the silent treatment and hoping they guess what's wrong. Try. "I'm feeling hurt by the comment you made earlier. I'd like to talk about it when we both have a moment." This shift from assumption to assertion is transformative. It replaces a game of chance with a collaborative effort. It requires vulnerability, as you must be willing to state what you truly need. But this vulnerability is the very soil in which trust and intimacy grow. Make it a rule. If you haven't said it out loud, you cannot hold someone accountable for not knowing it. 2. Stop using absolute language. You always. You never. You always leave your socks on the floor. You never listen to me. This is the third time this month you've been late. These statements feel like factual reports of behavior, but they are actually weapons of conversational warfare. Absolute or universal statements are rarely true and instantly put the other person on the defensive. The psychology behind it. When we are hurt or frustrated, our brain's emotional center, the amygdala, can hijack our rational thought processes. We move from discussing a specific incident to launching a global attack on the other person's character. "You were late today" becomes, "You are an inconsiderate person who never respects my time." Using always and never is an attempt to add weight to our argument, to prove that our frustration is justified by a long pattern of behavior. It's a cognitive distortion called overgeneralization, where we take one or a few instances and apply them as a universal rule. Why it's so destructive. The moment you use always or never, the conversation is no longer about the issue at hand. It becomes about defending one's character. The other person's brain immediately scans for counter-evidence. "I don't always leave my socks on the floor. I picked them up on Tuesday." The focus shifts from solving the problem, the socks on the floor, to winning an argument about historical accuracy. It invalidates any effort the person has made to change and makes them feel hopeless, as if their positive actions go unnoticed. This habit kills collaboration and turns teammates into adversaries. The antidote: focus on the specific present moment behavior. Stick to the facts of the current situation. Drop the universal qualifiers and speak only about what is happening right now and how it makes you feel. Instead of, "You never helped me get the kids ready for school." Try, "This morning I felt very stressed trying to get the kids ready on my own. Could we come up with a better plan for tomorrow?" Instead of, "You always interrupt me when I'm talking." Try, "I was in the middle of a sentence and I felt like I wasn't able to finish my thought. Could I just finish what I was saying?" This approach is non-accusatory. It keeps the problem small and manageable rather than turning it into an insurmountable character flaw. It invites a solution rather than a fight. By focusing on the I and the specific event, You open the door for your partner, friend, or family member to listen, understand, and work with you. 3. Stop. Keeping a mental scorecard. Relationships are not a business transaction, yet many of us operate with a subconscious ledger in our minds, meticulously tracking credits and debits. I did the dishes 3 times this week and you only did them once. I remembered your mother's birthday, but you forgot our 3-month anniversary. I supported you through your job search and now you can't even listen to me vent for 10 minutes. This is the transactional mindset, the psychology behind it. Scorekeeping is often a symptom of a deeper feeling of being unappreciated, taken for granted, or that the relationship is imbalanced. It's a defense mechanism. By keeping a tally of our good deeds, we build a case to prove our value and justify our resentment when we feel we aren't getting a fair return on our emotional investment. It's a way of seeking justice and fairness in the messy, often unfair world of human connection. It provides a false sense of control and moral high ground. Why it's so destructive. A transactional mindset poisons a relationship with the spirit of debt and obligation rather than generosity and grace. It turns acts of kindness into moves in a game. Love and support are given with an implicit expectation of reciprocation. And when that reciprocation doesn't come in the expected form or time frame, resentment builds. This creates an environment of tit for tat, where neither person is willing to be generous for fear of being exploited. It kills spontaneity and the simple joy of giving. The relationship becomes a constant negotiation of fairness, which is exhausting and unsustainable. Strong relationships are built on the principle of giving what you can when you can, and trusting that your partner will do the same. The antidote: embrace unconditional generosity and address underlying feelings. First, make a conscious decision to burn the scorecard. Operate from a place of generosity. Give because you want to give, not because you expect something in return. This doesn't mean becoming a doormat. It means changing your motivation. Second, and more importantly, recognize that the urge to keep score is a signal. It's an emotional dashboard light telling you that a deeper need is not being met. Are you feeling unappreciated? Unseen? Overburdened? Instead of presenting your ledger of evidence, I did X, Y, and Z, address the root feeling. Instead of, I've cooked dinner every night this week and you haven't lifted a finger, try, I've been feeling really exhausted and unappreciated lately. It would mean a lot to me if we could share the responsibility of cooking more evenly. This shifts the focus from a who did more competition to a vulnerable expression of need. It invites empathy and collaborative problem solving rather than defensiveness and a counter list of grievances. Give freely, and when you feel a deficit, speak to the feeling, not the scoreboard. Part 2. The emotional saboteurs. When our feelings betray us, how we manage our internal emotional world has a direct and profound impact on the health of our relationships. Unprocessed emotions, defensive reactions, and insecure behaviors can create a climate of instability and fear, making genuine connection impossible. 4. Stop. Bottling up your emotions. Emotional stoicism. Many of us are taught either directly or indirectly that certain emotions are bad or weak. We learn to suppress our sadness, hide our anxiety, and swallow our anger. We put on a brave face, insisting I'm fine when we are anything but. We believe we are being strong, resilient, or simply low maintenance. But in reality, we are building an invisible wall around our hearts. The psychology behind it. Emotional stoicism is often a learned survival trait. Perhaps we grew up in a household where expressing emotion was met with punishment, dismissal, or discomfort. Or maybe past relationships taught us that vulnerability would be used against us. We learn that suppressing our feelings is safer than expressing them. It's a form of self-protection, an attempt to avoid judgment, burdening others, or appearing weak. Why it's so destructive. Unexpressed emotions do not disappear, they metastasize. They leak out sideways in the form of passive aggression, unexplained irritability, anxiety, or physical ailments. In a relationship, bottling up your feelings creates a profound sense of isolation for both people. Your partner is left in the dark, unable to understand your inner world. They may sense that something is wrong but have no way of knowing what it is, leading them to feel confused, helpless, or even responsible. This lack of emotional transparency prevents true intimacy. Intimacy is not just physical. It is the act of letting someone see your true self, including the messy, difficult parts. By hiding your emotions, you deny your partner the chance to truly know you, support you, and connect with you on a deeper level. The antidote: cultivate emotional transparency. This requires courage. It means redefining strength not as the absence of emotion, but as the willingness to feel and express it constructively. Start with self-awareness. Use a journal or simply take quiet moments to identify what you are feeling. Give the emotion a name. I feel disappointed. I feel insecure. I feel angry. Choose a calm moment. Don't wait until the emotion explodes. Find a neutral time to talk. Use a simple formula. I'm feeling emotion about situation. I'm not blaming you, but I wanted to share it with you so you know where I'm at. Example: instead of silently fuming about a canceled date night, try, I'm feeling really disappointed that we had to cancel our date night. I was looking forward to connecting with you. I understand why it happened, but I wanted to be honest about how I feel. This approach invites your partner into your emotional world as an ally, not an adversary. It builds a bridge of understanding rather than a wall of silence. It is the ultimate act of trust. 5. Stop engaging in passive aggression. Passive aggression is anger in disguise. It is the art of expressing negative feelings indirectly rather than openly. It manifests as sarcasm, the silent treatment, forgetting to do something you promised, making subtle digs, or giving backhanded compliments. It's the "I'm fine" said through gritted teeth, the psychology behind it. Passive aggression is the weapon of choice for people who are uncomfortable with direct conflict. They may fear confrontation, rejection, or the other person's anger. It feels safer to express discontent in a plausibly deniable way. If confronted, they can always say, "I was just joking," or "You're being too sensitive." It's a way to wield power and express anger without taking the responsibility that comes with direct communication. Why it's so destructive. Passive-aggressive behavior is emotional poison. It creates a climate of anxiety, confusion, and mistrust. The recipient is left feeling crazy, constantly trying to decode hidden meanings and navigate an emotional minefield. You can't solve a problem that isn't being openly stated. This behavior makes the other person feel unsafe because the rules of engagement are unclear and dishonest. It slowly and systematically erodes the foundation of trust. As the recipient learns they cannot rely on the passive-aggressive person's words to match their feelings or intentions. It is a deeply frustrating and lonely experience for both parties, as the core issue is never addressed, and resentment continues to fester under the surface. The antidote: practice direct and respectful assertion. The antidote to passive aggression is assertiveness. This is not the same as aggression. Aggression is about attacking the other person. Assertion is about standing up for your own feelings and needs respectfully. Acknowledge your anger. Recognize that you are angry or upset. Give yourself permission to feel it. Identify the core need. What is the unmet need behind your anger? Do you need to feel respected, heard, appreciated? Communicate directly. Using the I statement formula, express your feeling and your need, instead of forgetting to pick up their dry cleaning after they were late. Try, I felt really disrespected and hurt when you were 45 minutes late and didn't call. My time is valuable and I need you to communicate with me if you're running behind. Instead of saying, "Oh, it must be nice to have so much free time to go to the gym." A sarcastic dig. Try, I've been feeling really overwhelmed with chores lately, and I'm starting to feel resentful. I would love it if we could find a way to rebalance things so I can also have some time for myself. Direct communication can feel scary at first, but it is an act of respect for yourself and the other person. It honors the relationship enough to be honest and tackle problems head on. 6. Stop trying to fix their problems and start listening. When someone we care about comes to us with a problem, they're stressed about work, upset with a friend, or anxious about the future. Our immediate instinct is often to jump into fix-it mode. We offer unsolicited advice, brainstorm solutions, and tell them what they should do. We believe we are being helpful and supportive. The psychology behind it, the impulse to fix, is often well-intentioned. It comes from a place of love and a desire to alleviate their suffering. However, it can also be driven by our own discomfort with their negative emotions. Sitting with someone's pain, sadness, or anger can be difficult. Offering solutions is a way to short-circuit that uncomfortable process and move them and ourselves back to a more positive state. It can also be a subtle way of asserting control or demonstrating our own competence. Why it's so destructive. When you immediately offer solutions, you are inadvertently sending several negative messages. First, you imply that they are incapable of solving their own problems. Second, you invalidate their emotions. You are essentially saying, "Sukok, your feelings are inconvenient. Let's get rid of them by fixing the problem." Most of the time, people are not looking for an answer. They are looking for a witness. They want to feel heard, understood, and validated. They need to process their emotions out loud in a safe space. By rushing to a solution, you deny them this crucial process and can make them feel unheard and alone in their struggle. The antidote: practice active, empathetic listening. Your goal is not to solve, but to understand. Your role is not to be a consultant, but a safe harbor. Listen fully, put your phone down, turn off the TV, give them your undivided attention. Don't think about what you're going to say next. Just listen. Validate their feelings. This is the most critical step. Use phrases that show you get it. That sounds incredibly frustrating. I can see why you would be so upset about that. Wow, that is a really difficult situation. I'm so sorry you're going through that. Ask open-ended questions. Instead of offering advice, ask questions that help them explore their own feelings and ideas. What's the hardest part about this for you? How are you feeling about all of this? Is there anything I can do to support you right now? This is the key question. Often the answer to that last question will be, just listening is enough. By holding space for their emotions without trying to fix them, you provide a far more profound and valuable form of support. You communicate that you trust their ability to handle their own life, and that you are willing to sit with them in their discomfort, which is one of the deepest expressions of love and connection. Part 3. The mindset traps. When our beliefs build walls. Sometimes the most damaging habits are not our actions or our words, but the deeply ingrained beliefs and mindsets we hold about relationships. These internal frameworks dictate our expectations, interpretations, and reactions, often in ways that push others away. 7. Stop. The need to be right. In any disagreement, from the trivial, the right way to load the dishwasher, to the significant, a major life decision, there is often an intense primal urge to prove that our perspective is the correct one. This need to be right turns discussions into debates and partners into opponents. The psychology behind it. The need to be right is deeply tied to our ego. Being right makes us feel intelligent, competent, and secure. Being wrong can feel like a threat to our identity, triggering feelings of shame or inadequacy. In a conflict, our position becomes enmeshed with our sense of self-worth. We're no longer just defending an idea, we're defending ourselves. This is especially true if we have underlying insecurities. Winning the argument becomes a way to temporarily soothe those insecurities and reaffirm our value. Why it's so destructive. When winning is the goal, the relationship always loses. The need to be right forces a win-lose dynamic. For you to be right, the other person must be wrong. This is inherently invalidating and disrespectful. It signals to the other person that their perspective, feelings, and experiences are less important than yours. This erodes psychological safety and makes them hesitant to share their true thoughts in the future. Over time, it kills collaboration and creates a power struggle. The focus shifts from us against the problem to me against you. Even if you win the argument, you have created a small fissure in the foundation of your connection. Enough of these victories and the entire structure will collapse. The antidote: prioritize understanding over agreement. Make a conscious shift in your goal during a disagreement. Your new goal is not to win, but to understand the other person's perspective so completely that you could argue it for them. Get curious. Approach the conversation with genuine curiosity. Ask questions like, "Help me understand why you see it that way. What's your biggest concern here? What experience is leading you to that conclusion?" Practice reflective listening. Summarize their point of view to ensure you understand it. "So what I'm hearing is that you feel emotion because of reason, and your main priority is goal. Is that right?" Validate their perspective. Validation is not the same as agreement. You can acknowledge the validity of their feelings and perspective without abandoning your own. That makes sense. From your point of view, I can totally see why you'd feel that way. Once both parties feel heard and understood, you can move from a battle to a brainstorming session. The question is no longer who is right, but how can we find a solution that respects both of our perspectives? By choosing connection over correction, you build a relationship strong enough to handle any disagreement. Conclusion: the conscious work of connection. The journey to stronger relationships is not a passive one. It is not something that happens to us if we are lucky enough to find the right person. It is an active, conscious, and sometimes challenging process of unlearning the destructive habits that hold us back and intentionally practicing new ways of being with one another. The 7 habits we have explored: expecting mind reading, using absolutes, keeping score, bottling emotions, passive aggression, premature problem solving, and the need to be right, are not signs that you are a bad person or that your relationships are doomed. They are simply signs that you are human. These are common patterns learned and reinforced over a lifetime. But they are not your destiny. The path forward begins with the powerful and illuminating light of awareness. By simply recognizing these patterns in your own behavior, you have already begun the process of change. The next step is courage. The courage to be vulnerable, to communicate your needs directly, to listen with empathy, and to prioritize the health of your connection over the demands of your ego. This work is not about achieving perfection. You will stumble. You will revert to old patterns under stress. The goal is not flawless execution, but mindful practice. It's about catching yourself when you start to make an assumption and choosing to ask a question instead. It's about feeling the urge to say "you always" and deliberately rephrasing it to focus on the present moment. It's about recognizing that the desire to keep score is a signal to express a deeper, unmet need. Building and maintaining strong, healthy, and resilient relationships is one of the most significant and rewarding endeavors of a human life. It is the bedrock of our happiness, our health, and our sense of belonging in the world. By committing to shedding these destructive habits, you are not just improving a single relationship. You are fundamentally changing the way you show up in the world. You are choosing connection over conflict, understanding over judgment, and love over fear. And that is a choice that will transform everything. And there you have it. These habits are common, but they don't have to be permanent. The first and most powerful step is awareness. And by watching this, you've already taken it. True connection isn't about being perfect. It's about being willing to learn, adapt, and show up authentically. Here at the Mind Shelf, we believe that understanding yourself is the key to understanding your relationships with others. What is one habit you're committed to changing? Let us all know in the comments below. Sharing your journey can inspire someone else. If you found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more content to help you master your mind and your life. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.